All right, what's the over-under on the number of times I fuck up that word?
Which one?
Unapologetically?
That's the one.
Well, we could rewrite the intro without using the word unapologetically. I'm just proposing this.
It would
We
make
might have to.
2 lives easier, that's for sure.
All right. Hello, and thank you for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel. An fuck.
You were almost
You
there.
had it. You just caught yourself.
I had it and lost it.
All right there, Gretzky.
Thesaurus.com.
I feel justified every time this happens.
All right, try again. If it doesn't work, we'll find another word. Hello, and thank you for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel, an unapologetically left-leaning podcast exploring hockey at its best and worst. My name is John. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm pleased to welcome. And I'm pleased to welcome you to the Neutral Zone Hotel. Here to ensure your stay is a memorable one are a few of my colleagues. Hello, and thank you for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel, a non-apologetically left-leaning podcast exploring hockey at its best and worst. My name is John, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm a fan of your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, living in the beautiful city of Buffalo, New York. I'm so pleased to welcome you to the Neutral Zone Hotel. As you've probably guessed, I'm here alone again because we have another clip show for you. Once again, we'll have a mix of old and new segments. Later in the episode, we'll be replaying our interview with Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. But first, it's a game show from our very first test episode, number 0.1, recorded on July 31st of last year and shared with a small group of friends. It's a quiz about offense, presented by SJ.
And SJ, I believe you have a little quiz.
I have a little quiz. So ideally, we would not necessarily do all hockey stuff, but we're going to do a hockey quiz today. So I just thought this would be a great opportunity to give any listeners a chance to yell at their phones while you guys struggle to get this. So this is a great, this is a good one on like, how closely do you really watch the games? And I promise that you have heard of all of these players. I strongly believe in you being able to get this. So I was reading Corey Schneider's blog, All Three Zones, and he had this great post that talked quite a lot about creating offense from behind the net. And he, does all of that game tracking, so he had some real stats to back this up. And I thought it would be awesome to give you three a chance to guess who the best players in the league right now are at creating offense from the behind the net. So the official stat here is 5v5, so even strength, behind the net shot assists per 60. And I just want to see if you guys can get the top 5. If you absolutely slam that, you can try to, we can see if you want to go a little deeper. But yeah, who do you think are the best players in the league at creating offense from behind the net? Behind the net shot assists per 60. You've heard of all of these guys. And the first player is really a cut above the rest of the league.
So, first guess would have been Connor McDavid anyway, but thanks for that free hint.
Connor McDavid is third.
Really?
Huh.
Really? Absolutely. Go ahead.
Is Sidney Crosby on the list?
Sidney Crosby is first. Sidney Crosby is by far the best player in the league at creating offense from behind the net. He's in a tier all of his own, even above Connor McDavid.
I I encourage people to watch Penguins games just to watch Sid, because I wouldn't say he's lost a step, but he's lost maybe a quarter step. Which he's still good for like 85, 90 points a season. But watch his hands and watch the way that he makes passes from kind of behind the red line. It's amazing. He is an incredibly talented player, even now. And like, yeah, McDavid's better in terms of being better off the rush and putting up more points. But when you watch Crosby, you're just seeing a guy who he's old for this league now. And man, he can just... he could make me score NHL goals. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
All right.
See, can you get anyone else? Anybody else?
Leon
Sidney Crosby's
Draisaitl?
the best at it. Leon Draisaitl is... Ooh, I don't think he's even on the list. Good guess, though. He is an excellent player.
Probably
But that's
score. He
not-
probably
that's
scores
not
the
where
McDavid
he
goals.
goes. He does. Yep. Well, they don't play a ton at 5-on-5 together, but,
True.
you know.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Is-
to that point, like the main reason I guess McDavid, aside from the obvious, is the NHL YouTube channel posted like Connor McDavid's top 10 clips of the year. And about 3 of them were McDavid behind the net doing some fancy shit and then passing out to Draisaitl for a goal. So Draisaitl, yeah, as John said, Draisaitl's usually the finisher of those two.
Yeah, he does a lot of that on the power play. Like, if you watch their power play, McDavid's behind the network is a huge part of that. But we're not considering power play stats today.
Yeah.
So this is 5v5.
Is it going to be Kucherov?
Ooh, Kucherov. That's gonna be a no.
All right, I need to just go for it. Inner bias is Elias Pettersson on that list.
Ooh. I don't.
It's not a good
see
sign.
him. I don't.
Congratulations.
Unfortunate.
Congratulations on not being a helpless North American when you say Elias Pettersson.
Oh, of course. It's so fun to... Hearing the Swedish accent on that name is just... chef's kiss.
Any other guesses? I promise you, these are. You will hear.
Are
You
they-
will say this name, and you'll be like, "Yes, absolutely."
Are they all centers, or are there
Yeah.
wingers in there as well? Okay.
Absolutely, there are wingers.
Matt Tkachuk.
Matt Tkachuk is second.
There.
He is incredible behind and to the sides of the net. Just a master at work. I love watching Matt Tkachuk right at the net.
Would either Nathan McKinnon
what a
or Mikko
year.
Rantanen be on the list?
Say those again.
Nathan McKinnon
Nathan-
and / or Mikko Rantanen.
Nope. Neither
Damn it.
of those.
I'm surprised. Nate,
Somebody is yelling right now. Somebody is screaming.
yeah,
Oh, it's probably a Toronto player, isn't it? Fucking...
Marner.
Yeah, Marner probably.
Nope, not Marner.
Is it Matthews?
Is he even... He's like way down the list. I think he might be...
God, this
He's
is...
not in
this
the
is
top 10, but I think he's top 15.
It's going to be like
All right.
Tavares, isn't it?
It is not Tavares. He's not on the list.
Tavares
Hey.
doesn't create offense anymore so much as he shows up where offense happens to be.
Is it, are we
Or-
correct? Is there a Maple Leaf
feel-
in this top 5? Or are we just barking up the
There
wrong
is
tree
not.
here?
No.
Oh,
No
okay, so we're
Leaf.
barking up the wrong tree.
What about Tage?
You are.
Is
Huh?
big boy Tage Thompson on there?
He is not.
What Brad Marchand?
Yes, Brad Marchand is fifth.
There, yeah.
Well done.
Rats out in the
Absolutely.
corner, throws it in front.
Positive
Yep.
to finish it, yeah. All right, so
I'm
we've got
allowed
1,
to
2,
insult
3,
them
and
'cause I'm from
5,
Nova
so we
Scotia.
still just need number 4.
Yeah, and I'm gonna help you out a little bit. Eastern Conference.
Oh,
We've talked about this team.
Oh, is
Is
it Sebastian Aho? Not that
It is
one.
not Sebastian Aho, but you are getting warm.
Svechnikov?
It's Svechnikov. Andrei
There it
Svechnikov.
is.
He's really cool. And he's
He is
locked
such
in
a great
for
player.
quite a while as well.
Yep. It was absolutely tragic that he got injured before the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
If Carolina had Svechnikov and Pacioretty, you have to think they go deep.
I mean,
Rams-
I don't think they get shut out by the Panthers if they have Svechnikov and Pacioretty.
Tell us who else was in the top 10.
So it was Crosby, Kachuk, McDavid, Svechnikov, Marchand, Nikolai Ehlers, Mark Scheifele, Matthew Joseph, Brady Kachuk, David Gustafson, James Van Riemsdyk, and it goes on. Robert Thomas.
Chase
Surprising names in there,
Xavier.
though.
Yeah, it kind of starts to fall off there as far as like sheer star power, but I think certainly the top five are a really good example of just like the absolutely elite talent that you need to be good in this one particular area where they're throwing all of the bodies at you. There's so much traffic. It's just a really tough place to make things happen. But if you do, the shooting percentages go up, and it's just a real dangerous place to be successful.
I hope you enjoyed that bit from our very first recording. Up next is another game show, recorded for our third and final test episode, recorded in late August or early September 2023. The game is presented by Alex, and it's called They Gave That Guy Trade Protection?
All right, I don't have a cool, snappy title for this one, and honestly, I'm not quite sure how it's going to work. I've got a few different permutations I'm interested in trying. But the rules of the game are fairly simple. I'm going to give you a pretty simple stat line of a player. Their goals, their assists, their points, and their goals and their assists and their games played. And I'm also going to give you one other piece of information, your choice. The team name, and then various aspects of their terms of their contract. The length, the hit, the cap hit, as well as whatever trade protection they might be. And then it'll be up to you all. I'll go to you one at a time per player to guess the player, as well as those individual things. So I'll go around. I'm really screwing up the reading of these rules here, which goes to show how this can be a challenge. The other thing is that all of these players have one thing in common, and that's they are players who on their current NHL contract or upcoming NHL contract that will start at the beginning of the season have some form of trade protection.
Oh, this is going to be friggin' stupid, isn't it? It's going to be just the dumbest players. Why does this asshole have trade protection? I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in.
So there are two things. All of these players have trade protection, and all of these players signed their current deal within the last 2 years. So either this offseason or the previous one.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
I will give you their basic line in terms of stats for the season prior to when they signed the deal, as well as to start with the team that they signed with. But we might rotate around which piece of information I give out depending on the player. All right. Who wants to start things off? And I'll be going to 3 people per player. All right. This is going to be an easy one just to get things into the sway of it. This player signed this offseason with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he had a line of 74 games played, 40 goals, and 45 assists. What was this player's either cap hit, term, or what was his trade protection?
So I have to pick the cap hit, the term, or the
Yes,
trade
choose
protection?
one.
That's what I have to give you? Oh, I don't need you because it's Austin Matthews.
Yes. It is.
Austin Matthews should have trade
Yes,
protection.
he should.
I feel okay so far.
Okay, yeah. No, this... all right. Cool. Let's move on to something a little more difficult.
No.
This player signed the offseason with the Vegas Golden Knights. After 25 games played, 2.5 goals allowed average, and a 9.15 save percentage. To start with, do not tell me who the player is. Just kind of throw out a guess for the cap hit, term, or what trade protection you think he has. And we can go from there. Let's go to Trevor.
Is it 2 years at like 4.3 million?
2 years is correct, and 4.3 is close enough that I'm willing to give you that point as well.
Because that's Aiden
Yes.
Hill, right?
Anyone want to make a guess
As for
the trade protection?
Is it? Oh, man. Is it probably like a 15-team no trade?
No. And that is not close enough for me to give points because I've kind of roughly categorized this into 3 categories of partial no trade protection. Low, which is like 8 or less. Medium, which is around half the league. And then 24 for high. Or just full. He has 8-team no trade clause. It drops to 5 next season.
You know what? That's not as bad as I feared it was going to be because they'll always find a sucker who needs a goaltender who thinks Aiden Hill won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed when I looked at it is that Aiden Hill's body of work is a lot stronger than I thought. He has a couple years of like roughly that level of performance, and he also played more regular season games than like I thought he did. I thought he had like 9 when I went to make this.
So I think like the thing with Hill is he just got stuck with shitty teams for a while because like his prior body of work is what San Jose during the bad years in Arizona.
Ooh.
Yeah, like
Anybody can be, invisible and mediocre behind teams that bad.
That's
All right.
true.
SJ, this player signed last offseason for a cap hit of $4 million. His stat line was he played 78 games. Over the course of these, scored 6 goals and racked up 11 assists. He is a defenseman.
A $4 million defenseman?
Yes. So please tell me your choice, a guess of team, term, or his trade protection. Or if you know what this is from just that, the player.
I actually knew the first 2, so I'm feeling sad now. Thinking back to last summer, $4 million defenseman with trade protection?
I can't believe they gave this guy trade protection.
I'm
so fucking angry right now.
Oh, wait. Was this Eric Goodbranson?
It is Eric Goodbranson.
I only got it because Benjamin was so mad.
What the fuck are you doing, Jarmo Kekalainen? Why are you giving Eric Goodbranson fucking trade protection? He's terrible.
He signed for 4 years with a 10-team no movement clause. Or no trade clause.
Jesus.
Wait. Somebody gave Eric and Branson 4 years?
Yeah.
At $4 million.
Columbus, Kekalainen did. Last year, they made this deal, and then they also signed Johnny Gaudreau at the same summer, and everyone was just like confused.
Yeah.
It's really not shocking that Columbus was so bad this past season.
What do you?
It's amazing that how much GMs can talk themselves into big defensemen who got drafted high.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if their body of work isn't very good.
There's a few more players on this list where you're like, wait, they gave that guy trade protection that are exactly that sort of player.
Yeah.
So angry.
The way Benjamin was like waving his arms and making a face, I thought it was gonna be Ben Sherratt, but I can't remember what he got from the Panthers.
No, it was definitely Benjamin's over the top reaction that like triggered my memory. So thank you for that.
I don't know if Ben Sherratt has trade protection. If he's on this list, I'm going to be even angrier. But like, not really, because we got a first round pick from Florida.
All right.
So.
Yeah,
Steve Yzerman can overpay him all he wants. He's not on my phone.
All right. This player, and this is for John. This player signed this offseason for a 6-year deal. His stat line was 76 games played, 13 goals, and 14 assists. He signed this offseason.
For how much?
For a 6-year deal. A term of 6 years.
Oh, for a 6-year deal. 6 years.
Doesn't John get like one other piece of
the
information?
term was that. The other piece of information. The stat line is 13 goals and 14 assists across 76 games played.
Well, I'm hoping it's a defenseman.
It is not a defenseman.
Oh no.
Oh my god. Wait.
That's actually very helpful information because that rules out one of the two candidates.
It is a forward.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wait. Take a stab at one of the other things, and I can tell you if you're right or not.
Is team one of them?
Yes.
Is it the Predators?
It was not the Predators. It is, however, in the Predators division.
Well, that's not who I thought it was.
Yeah, it's not who I thought it was
I
either.
might have it.
Oh,
Well, maybe not. It's the term that's really fucking with me, but I could see them doing it.
The team is the Colorado Avalanche.
Never mind.
Oh, okay. Not what I was thinking. I was trying to think of who the Blackhawks signed.
Yeah.
I thought he was a defenseman.
Both of
Well,
those
that's the thing,
terrible
is when
Blackhawks deals were for 4 years.
Yeah, because one was Taylor Hall.
Both the Blackhawks deals were for $4 million, but 1 year.
Oh yeah, you're right. I definitely.
Oh man. No.
This player has a cap hit of $2.5 million, 6 years, and a no trade clause of 6 teams that kicks in after this season.
No,
SJ,
it's
do you
on
have
the
it?
tip of my brain. Oh. I remember.
The final hint
Like,
is
the term was to keep the cap hit down.
the final hint that I will give is that if this player could be paid in Bitcoin, he would be. That's right.
Oh,
it's
God.
Miles Wood.
Right. I remember this.
I don't want to say the name I was thinking of, but I could have sworn Miles Wood was a defenseman. Defenseman is Wood is such a defenseman name.
Yeah.
God, Miles. Well, yeah, I never would have got that. I have no idea who the Avs signed this.
Wildly over fucking paid.
6 years.
Overturned,
Jesus
I should
Christ.
Yeah.
It's an over term. It's not necessarily much of an overpayment.
Yeah, if it was 3 years, it'd be
because
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this was the most weird,
right.
the strangest signing the Avs made this summer. By far.
Yeah, I think that's almost the weirdest anyone made.
fine. I think I don't want to get into it. I could, but I don't want to.
All right.
Okay.
Let's take a trip north of the border to Ottawa, where this player signed a 2-year deal after he played 75 games in the season and scored 6 goals and racked up 15 assists. He is a defenseman.
Is this for me?
Yes,
Travis Hamonic.
it is. The overall contract is not bad in terms of what he brings to the table, but he has a full no movement clause.
You know what's bad is Travis Hamonic.
Uh-huh.
And
That's
the thing that really pisses me off about that is Ottawa has guys ready to come up from Belleville. And Hamonic is just going to eat up a fucking roster spot. And it's a no move. It's not a no trade, so they can't send him down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's really rough.
That sucks.
How much are they paying him?
Only 1.1.
Yeah, like
They can pay him to stay home.
yeah, like they can make him the 7th defenseman, but still, like, fuck, just annoys me.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck is he still doing in the league?
I will say, usually anyone who plays for the Canucks, I will wholeheartedly cheer for them. I'll be happy for them. But when they announced that Vancouver traded Travis Hamonic a couple off seasons ago, I cheered louder than I think any moment I did during that season. Because holy fuck, is he bad. Plus, if I remember correctly, he was a locker room cancer too. So it's just like, oh, thank the maker.
Well, the Canucks are next on the board.
Ooh. Oh, boy.
As they made a signing this offseason of a defenseman with 78 games played this past season, 3 goals, and 13 assists.
Oh, boy. Who did they sign on the blue line now? Because I remember 2 of the forwards, but who else did they friggin' sign? Oh, wait. No. That controversy was for Bluger. Fuck. All right, I'll take one hint.
All right. It is a 3.25 AAV and a 3-year deal.
With trade protection? Oh, Christ.
The other hint that I can give you is that SJ could probably guess this player.
Oh! Oh, yeah.
Fuck! Who was the one? Who was the one they signed up from Seattle? What's his fucking name? God damn it!
Do you want me to just say it? Carson Soucy.
Yes.
Yeah,
there it is. Fuck!
That's such an overpay.
Soucy's fine.
Carson Soucy, it's a fine mid-pairing defenseman like contract, except he has a full no-trade clause.
That's the funny part.
It's better than OEL, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will gladly take it compared to what OEL was getting.
Yeah.
Vancouver is one of the team that kind of comes to mind when I think of giving out ill-advised no-trade clauses. Yeah. The other one, though, they haven't been bitten on the ass as much of it as Vancouver has, but they certainly love handing out these large protected contracts to their mid and even bottom line players. Is the New York Islanders.
Like I said,
yeah.
I don't want to talk about the Islanders because, I mean, there's got to be some stupid fucking Lou Lamoriello contracts coming.
There are several. One that they signed this offseason was for a defenseman who played all 82 games and scored 6 goals and 18 assists. However, the real whopper is it's a 7-year contract. SJ, I believe it's your turn to take a swing at it, though this is just a marvel at this contract kind of question.
Can I ask, was this an extension or a new player to the team?
This is an extension.
Okay. All right. I'm hard pressed to name anyone on the Islanders outside of Matt Barzal.
Okay. It is not Matt Barzal. Matt Barzal, funnily enough, does not have trade protection.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Incredible.
That is incredible. I don't, is this, I'm just, total guess, probably not right. Is this Mayfield?
Yes, it is.
Bam!
It is Scott Mayfield. Other notable trade protections given out by the Islanders this summer include Pierre Engvall, who has a partial trade on a ridiculously long contract, and the backup goalie.
Oh,
I knew it. I was just thinking that that's the kind of team that would give trade protection to the backup goalie.
Yes.
No, it's not Samsonov. That's the Leafs goalie. It's
the other one.
Varlamov.
Yeah. Who signed a 4-year deal with full trade protection.
Yeah, he's also pretty old.
Okay.
Yes, he is 35, and the backup, and they're paying him around $4 million a year.
Yeah.
Alex, I had to check. Matt Barzal does have trade protection, but because this was his last RFA year, it doesn't kick in until next season,
Okay.
like the 2024-25 season.
That
But
makes
it's not
sense.
a full. It's not a full trade clause. It's a 22 team list, so he could get stuff. They could get stuff done.
Can I also point out that a lot of those contracts we just mentioned are from a GM who said upon signing an extension in the last season that it was too long and for too much money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, Lou, what are you
Lou
doing?
does
See,
not
but
intend
here's-
to still be the GM of the Islanders when any of this comes due.
It's not even that. Like most GMs sign people to these deals knowing that they will be fired by the time that the bill is really paid. Lou Lamoriello might be fucking dead. He's 80.
He is so
Like,
old.
if you go by the actuary tables, like, he is not going to live to the end of Scott Mayfield's contract. Like, statistically. And that's not saying I want him to die. I'm just like, that's math.
It's a real possibility, yeah.
So,
I
like,
was thinking the same
why
thing.
should he give a fuck about something that either A, is going to come up when he's 87 years old, or B, he'll be in the ground for?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
I've got 3 more players for you all, and as a bonus, they are all from the same team.
Ooh.
All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
The first player signed this offseason for a 2-year deal with a no-trade clause. He had a stat line of 82 games played, 15 goals, and 22 assists. The second player signed last offseason with the same team, played 80 games that season with 16 goals and 16 assists. The average annual value on his contract was $3.15 million. And I'm saving the third player for last because the third player is my favorite.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
It's not a notable contract, a 2-year. So the first one was a 2-year deal signed this offseason.
Correct.
And did we learn anything else about it at all?
The player's fine. 15 goals, 22 assists. I haven't told you any other piece of information.
15-22. And the other one was a 2-year deal last offseason?
No, I did not tell you the term on that deal. I said it
but
was
it's a 315.
yes. I can tell you the term on that
Gotcha.
deal.
Okay.
It is a 7-year deal.
7-year deal for 315. That's weird.
This is the player that probably started this as a trend, with this being locking in your mid-tier, your like good third liners at long-term, maybe low cap hit markets deals.
What's the trade protection?
The trade protection on that one is a full no trade clause.
What?
The trade protection on the other one is also a full no trade clause.
Wow.
Who is doing this? Who is to blame?
The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh! That's
Hagel
Nicholas
and
Paul.
Hagel, I did not include.
Oh.
Because Hagel's deal actually doesn't have trade protection,
Oh, really?
or at least not that, or at least none that really kicks in a significant amount. The first player is Connor Sherry, who's a good player.
Connor
Fine.
Sherry?
It's just
Fine.
weird that he got a full
Former
no trade
Penguin.
clause.
He signed with the Lightning?
However,
I still think of him as a cat.
yes, this year.
Huh.
As a, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that Nicholas Paul deal, I remember when that dropped, and I was just like, he's a good player, but that's a long time, and to give him no trade is weird.
Yeah.
But
So I'm just going to give you all of the information on this one, on this last one. This player signed this offseason with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He played 62 games last year, scored 6 goals, got 6 assists. He is a forward. His cap hit is $800,000 for 2 years. He has a 15 team no trade clause. Who is he?
Why does he have a 15-team no trade clause?
I don't fucking know.
So I have to ask the question then, Alex. How many draft picks was used to acquire this player?
He signed in free agency.
Oh, it wasn't Tanner. I just assumed it'd be.
Oh,
Tanner
that's what I thought it was going to be too. As soon as I heard the stat line,
I thought for sure this was going to be a Tanner Janot dump. I have no idea what happened with him after. So.
This is
Corey
a player
Perry
that
still
I
there,
know I've at least seen Ben react to the knowledge that this player has a no trade clause before.
It's Benjamin.
Because it is ridiculous that Josh Archibald
Josh
Jesus
Archibald?
Christ.
has a 15-team no trade clause.
He does. He fucking does. So dumb. Why?
All right.
Wait, the Lightning signed Josh Archibald?
Yes. Finally.
Man.
This is just a fun little thing. You should be able to guess this. Which team has the highest percentage of trade protected contracts right now?
It's got to be Tampa.
It's not.
Is it the
One team has one more.
Is it the Islanders?
Nope.
Leafs?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. They hand those out like candy.
The Toronto Maple Leafs have a lot of partial trade protection for their middle players, and of course they've got the 4 big players up top with full protection.
Get used to that, Alex, because Kyle Dubas loves those partial trades.
He's already done this. There were a couple players that I cut from the initial list, like Noel Acari, who was acquired by Dubas last year midseason and came over with him to Pittsburgh, has a no trade clause.
He gave Noel Acari a no trade clause? I mean, he's a good bottom 6 guy, but...
To be fair, at least he spent Toronto's draft capital acquiring him, not Pittsburgh's.
It's
although to be fair, I mean with Acari, he's probably going to miss like 20, 25 games anyway.
Yeah, it's also only an 8-team. Because I cut it off at 2 years, I couldn't bring up the other extremely funny Tampa Bay no trade clause guy, who is Zach Bogosian, who signed for a 3 by 800,000 deal 2 years ago, and that had a full no trade clause for the first 2 years, and it drops to 16 this year. It is ridiculous and wonderful.
I can't see anybody wanting to have Zach Bogosian on their team.
Oh.
Incredible stuff. That was a lot of fun. They're all really fucking stupid.
Yeah, that was very funny.
All right.
Up next after the break is our interview with ESPN's Greg Wyshynski, all about the changes in the sports media landscape over the last 20 years. But first I have to tell you that we're now available on YouTube at Neutral Zone Hotel. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and leave comments. SJ will read each and every comment. You can follow us on Instagram or Blue Sky at Neutral Zone Hotel, all one word. You can join our Discord at www.neutralzonehotel.com/Discord if you want to hang out with us. If you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. Do you love betting on sports? Is the action on the mainstream betting apps just not enough for you? Are you consumed by betting? Do you crave more action? Is preseason hockey not enough? What if we told you that we will give you odds on high school football? Not enough? How about college rowing? College softball? What about JV intramural track and field? Junior high soccer? Or beer league hockey? Are you ready to go for the gusto? Are you in it to win it? Do you want to place 3 a.m. bets on pickup cricket in New Zealand? If the answer is yes, we've got the betting app for you. Sickos Betting. Sickos. That's right. All this and more is available in the Sickos Betting app. Sickos. Download the Sickos Betting app, add your bank account information, or link your crypto account to our offshore servers, and you'll be ready to get in on all the 7th Division English football action you can handle. Sickos. As a bonus, if you sign up with the offer code SICK6SICKOS, we will give you 50 cents or 0.000423 Bitcoin in free bets. Offer void in Nevada, Utah, Decatur, Saskatchewan, the Yucatan Peninsula, Cleveland, and Andorra. Not that we're checking. Make sure gambling is legal where you live, or where your money lives. Just move it offshore and no one's going to know. Must be 18 to play. That seems old. Make it 16. Just get a permission slip. You're 16. You don't need me to tell you how to forge your mom's signature. Not available to Michigan disassociated persons. But we won't tell if you don't. Please note that online gambling is an entertainment vehicle. And boy, is it ever entertaining. More entertaining than watching an Oilers game or the Sharks. Have you seen the Sharks? No? Good for you. Unwatchable garbage, that. Never forget that gambling has risks. Before you place a bet, ask yourself, what am I prepared to win today? Are you concerned about how much you're betting? Did you wager your entire month's rent? Do you have a gambling addiction? Get a job. Way to go. Always remember to gamble irresponsibly. And we're back. I hope you didn't hate that fake ad too much. Everyone hates it, but I put it in because I like it, and there's no one here to stop me. But with that out of the way, here's our interview with Greg Wyshynski from January of this year.
All right, thanks. Welcome back. Joining us today, we've got a special guest, Greg Wyshynski, who's currently a senior writer covering the NHL for ESPN. Over Greg's career, he's one of the innovators of sports blogging, famously with his Puck Daddy blog over at Yahoo, and he was one of the longtime hosts of popular hockey podcast Puck Soup, amongst many other ventures. Greg, thanks a lot for taking the time with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here. And yes, many other ventures, many side hustles, they call them in the business, many side hustles, which I think is, again, the best advice you can impart to anybody in the industry today, which is don't cast your lot with one place. keep all them hooks in the water, man.
That's not surprising.
I think that's pretty damning. Wow, what a great jump into the conversation. So yeah, Greg, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be part of this sort of sports broadcasting coverage piece as the world's changed so much the last 30 years from print media into, well, we'll talk about AI and Sports Illustrated, I think maybe a little bit later. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. But yeah, I guess knowing that you got your start in print media, what was it that drew you to blogging and to create Puck Daddy? Something we're really interested in.
That's a really good question because I'm trying to remember where the sort of inflection point was. Because I was writing for a newspaper, and then I was also writing for a magazine in Maryland called Sports Fan Magazine. It was a startup by a fairly independently wealthy guy who held a lot of Washington Post stock and lived in Washington, D.C. and wanted to start a sports magazine ostensibly so he could put on the cover whatever he wanted to put on the cover, like put Rod Langway in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So they had a website and at the time, I mean, it wasn't really like a thing where everyone had thriving websites, but in the early aughts, I joined them. There was a print publication, but then there was also this daily updated, website that I would write columns for and things like that. And it was my first sort of inkling that, where the industry was kind of going, the speed and the creative freedom that writing online brought was in clear contrast to what I was doing at the paper and at the magazine. And so that kind of planted the seed, I think. And then as time went on, the newspaper got its website going, and that was just sort of just like an online version of what was in print. And I kind of got an idea of like what to do, what not to do insofar as like digital journalism. And then, I wrote about this recently on the Puxu Patreon, just like I got very lucky coming up at the right time where not only having an understanding of what digital journalism was going to be and the tools that you needed to be successful that luckily I possessed, the ability to write fast and smart and in depth and bring humor, but also just like my particular brand of whimsy became what people were looking for. And I've heard people say it was like in the wake of Bill Simmons. I'll take that as you will. I don't know if that necessarily was the case, but it was clear that, people that could write about sports in kind of a lighthearted way, bring some data analysis into it and make pop culture references was the flavor of a good 5 or 6 years. And I just happened to be there at the right time.
Okay.
Awesome.
So Going viral seems to be a big part of establishing a strong online presence. And how did you first go viral, and how did it feel to break through?
The first viral thing I ever did was with AOL Fan House, which was America Online's nascent sports blog collection, which actually gave a lot of really good people their start. And a lot of them would go on to work at Yahoo and ESPN and places like that before they screwed it all up by hiring guys like Jay Mariotti to try to do column writing. They really had a good thing going, and then they just screwed it all up. But I wrote an expose of Eklund, the mysterious hockey rumor guy, and it was the first time anyone had really done an expose on somebody who had really made inroads into the online hockey community to the point where he was making shadowy appearances on trade deadline coverage on Sportsnet. And I managed to get an interview with him, and maybe in a Trojan horsey kind of way, he managed to kind of like get some stuff that he probably didn't want to give up from him, and managed to write this like long story about somebody who the very online hockey fan cared a lot about. And so that was the first time that a story I wrote went viral. And then there was two social media moments that were really teachable moments for me. One was in the very early years of Twitter. I was at the double hat trick game between Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. And I was in the press conference with Sid when he talked about how upset he was that it took them so long to clean the hats off the ice. And I tweeted it by texting Twitter from my phone. That's how I used to be able to tweet. And then I got back to the media room, and the thing blew up. And I had so many messages from people being like, he didn't really say that. It's like, this is a joke, because it wasn't televised. So the only way you would know he said it was through social media at that point. And that was the first time I said, my God, like, this is going to change the way we do journalism. And then the other thing was obviously when I was at the Olympics in Sochi, and I took a picture of the bathroom and the trash can where the people in the Olympic media facility asked people to throw away their soiled toilet paper in the trash can rather than flushing it because it would ruin the pipes. And not only did it blow up massively, but it actually got me on the front page of the New York Daily News.
Wow.
Amazing. An amazing thing. I've come to find out there was a bit of ignorance there in the sense of like, that is a normal thing if you're in like a poverty-stricken country, or even in some places in the Caribbean. Like, I've been to a couple restaurants in the Caribbean where they ask you to do that rather than like ruin the plumbing. But like, this was Russia. This is the Olympics. Like, the idea that you have to do it in this place was kind of hilarious to me and to a lot of other people. So those are the viral teachable moments, I think, for me, insofar as like digital journalism goes.
I remember the Eklund article quite well. It's actually the first thing I ever read by you. And I was one of those extremely online hockey guys. And I remember watching Eklund's sort of shadowy appearance on TV and going like, who the fuck is this guy? And yeah, we found that article a little while later, and I was like, oh, he's a fraud. Good to know. Again, when it comes to any of these rumor people, there's usually like a kernel of access that allows them to get enough things right where you can maybe believe that they're connected in some ways. And he had a few that he got right because he was pretty well connected within like the Flyers organization, for example. But I mean, overall, the idea that, it was a really educational thing because it sort of taught me how some of these things, how the sausage is made in some of these cases. Like he would get wind, or some like a rumor person would get wind of someone calling someone else to pitch a player. Like, let's say I'm the Devils. I call up somebody. I'm like, hey, interested in Eric Walla, right? Well, then that could be then extrapolated into the Devils and Team X are having talks on Eric Walla. Well, they're not. Like, I called to say, do you want him? You guys said no. I mean, I guess technically that's talks, but in actuality, sounds like an E4 to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's an E4. So like technically that's talks, but in actuality, it's me pitching you something and you refusing. So it was a really enlightening piece to not only like expose what that phenomenon was, but also I had people, in the wake of it, reaching out to me being like, here's how these things are put together. And it stuck with me through years and years and years of the rumor industry making bank.
It's fascinating. I want to ask you a question kind of along that line, because I'm wondering what it was like to establish a blog as a serious portion of the media landscape. Like, how were you treated by hockey teams and hockey groups and the media establishment coming in as the puck daddy guy?
Well, the media establishment hated me because I mocked them. I wrote about them. It's one of the things that I really hate about the current hockey landscape. It's just like we don't have anybody that does that anymore. Like, A, everybody's just too good of friends. B, I can't. Like, I've been told by multiple employers now, like, don't make fun of Pierre McGuire anymore, right? Because like we're not supposed to like shoot at each other, if we're in the media. I still do it, but not to the extent that I used to when I was at Yahoo. And so like that, it took a while for a lot of people to warm up to what we were doing because we were so different. The league and the teams were a little bit of an easier lift. One, because they would find out that I had a journalism background, and two, I was working with a company where if they had a problem with anything I wrote, they could call my boss, and that made me different than most bloggers. Is that the thing that scared them was this idea of independent media where you can't call up an editor or a publisher and express your displeasure with it. And then the other thing was that we were just incredibly popular. I say this often to try to like explain the measurement of how popular Puck Daddy was, but in amongst the Yahoo blogs that were powered by front page traffic and just like natural traffic to popular sports, we were number 3 behind the NFL and the NBA as far as like time spent reading the blog. Like, that's insane. To be in that position as a hockey blog at that point in hockey's, popularity curve. So when you get to be that big and that influential, the league has a funny way of wanting to play ball with you. And that's kind of how we were able to get, I think, the access that we got, on top of obviously Yahoo Sports not exactly being, fanwank.com or whatever. It's a legitimate company that obviously, but even then, there was still the whole thing of like, you guys are a search engine, right? And so, I don't forget for a moment that it's the audience that matters. And if you have an audience and they're engaged and you have a connection with them, it's going to open doors for you because other people want to be have access to that audience, or they respect the power that audience brings.
That makes sense. You've got a lot of people looking at you. They know that you've got that audience, and to an extent, if they piss you off, you can talk shit about them.
Right. But I guess at the end of the day, though, and this was, I hope, a good lesson for the NHL. It's like, it's better to work with us than to work against us. And that's not to threaten them. I'm not like blackmailing them with snark. It's just that if I write something, everybody benefits if you guys talk to me for it. I feel that way about a lot of the player safety coverage that I do. I'm a lot kinder to them just because I think they do a better job than most people do as far as like their suspensions go. But at the same time, like they know that if they can like explain to me why a huge suspension was made and at least express why it was made, then maybe some people will understand it better. It doesn't mean that I agree with them. Doesn't mean anybody's going to agree with them. But I think they know at the end of the day that like the more communication, the better, insofar as trying to state your case.
Yeah,
makes sense to me. But
for us, one of the reasons we wanted to start podcasting is we felt there was, an area of the audience that wasn't necessarily being served by a lot of the larger podcasts, and things that needed to be said that maybe aren't or can't be said by some people. And there's something I want to promise you, Greg, is that we will never, ever, ever on this podcast stop making fun of Pierre McGuire. So,
and it's just so damn easy. No, it was one of those deals where I was. You know how it works. I do it sometimes when I watch the NFL now, where you're just watching television and you have your phone out and you just like every single thing that Pierre would say would just piss me off, and I'd comment on it. And then at some point, my boss just like, you gotta calm down, man. Like we have a television station. Like you shouldn't be talking this much smack about other broadcasters. I'm like, that's a fair point, I guess.
We don't have that problem.
No, never.
Speaking of podcasting, what drew you to podcasting? Like, how did that help you establish your brand, and what was different about that from running Puck Daddy?
I just the immediacy and the intimacy of streaming audio was always something that really struck me, because I knew that that's kind of where the tech was going to go. It was going to go to mobile devices and iPods and things of that nature. We were going to get there eventually. So I started streaming an audio show on Puck Daddy within like the first 2 years that we had it, and then like the podcasting in and of itself was just something that kind of grew around us. Like we were, very early in the market, me and Jeff Merrick, with that show, and then the boom happened sort of around it. And I was always really like touched when people would say, I started a podcast because of your podcast, because that's like tremendous. It's like the biggest honor you can have is to be that influential and that aspirational, that people kind of do the thing that you do. So I don't know. I always found it to be real fun. I found it to be a different vibe than terrestrial radio, which we all grew up with. And it's been really interesting to see kind of where people have taken it, especially when it comes to sort of narrative podcasts and things like that versus sort of the day-to-day of hockey news or, entertainment news or things like that.
I'm going to change the question that I wrote down because something came to me as you were talking.
As if in a vision.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe I need medication for it. Who knows? Yeah. Obviously, you don't do a podcast with Jeff Merrick anymore. It's a radio show in Canada that just happens to be posted online. What's it been like watching podcasting move from sort of I don't want to say necessarily a niche, but it certainly was very small, and now large organizations are embracing it. Sportsnet, you're hosting The Drop for ESPN. So I feel like podcasting has certainly moved into something that's much more corporate than it used to be. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, because I think every there's no radio shows anymore. They're all podcasts. Like even when Bob McCowan was on, The Fan in Toronto, that was a podcast. That's how people consumed it mostly. My thing with Merrick, like his show doesn't take callers. Like it's just a different podcast every hour is kind of how the show is structured. Even he has said that before. I think the big difference is, and it's something that I've experienced in doing The Drop now for 2 years, is that there's a demand for podcasts now to be multimedia based on where the ad dollars are, based on where the viewers are consuming things. Like those two things are very true about YouTube. Like there's a ton more money in YouTube than there is in a podcast for most podcasts. And then also there's a ton of people that consume media through YouTube in ways that they don't through Spotify or Apple. So it's a whole audience you're not reaching if you don't do the video thing and the audio thing. Now, I wish the video thing was a bit more adventurous for us. We were limited by, the time our producers had to put together a show. We were limited by, budget and things of that nature. I had grandiose plans for a digital video version of The Drop. I think we do a really good job, but I still haven't necessarily done the digital show I think that I really want to do when it comes to hockey quite yet.
And it does kind of feel like it's evolving into a huge multimedia sort of thing. And I think even the way that it's marketed is going, because I know Google's getting rid of Google Podcasts and just merging it all into YouTube. Everything's going to be in one location. So I wonder how that's going to compete against Spotify, especially where they don't have the digital platform, the visual platform.
Yeah, I mean, the video part of it is a huge part of it now. I think you see that with Barstool. I think you see it with a lot of places that have adopted it, and more places doing, this year alone, this season alone, we've seen, The Drop go twice a week. We've seen What Chaos start with Pete and DJ. We've seen Johnny Laz start his own morning show, I guess, on Daily Face-Off. So there's just been a ton of new innovation in the video podcast forum, which has been really cool to see. Like the more the merrier. People should try things. I'm happy when they do.
I mean, I've seen that a lot in music podcasts too. Some that I listen to have moved to YouTube because there's no money in Spotify for a small podcast, and it's very difficult now to get ads if you're not a big podcast. And so they all move to YouTube because if they get enough viewers, they at least get a little bit of that kind of automatic ad money that goes with YouTube.
Yeah.
So-
No, I think there's always ways to make money doing a podcast, like especially if you are, well, I mean, if you have an audience, but if you're even a niche audience, like there's going to be advertisers. It's just a matter of whether or not the people who make the show are interested in those advertisers. Put it that way.
Yeah. Even we were contacted by an advertiser, an extremely sketchy, absolutely no way in hell we were going to do business with them advertiser. But yeah, for sure. I think
Was it The
Patreon-
Athletic?
Listen, for $1 a month, you can listen to Sean McIndoe make fun of the entire organization of hockey in his calm Canadian manner. I'm allowed to say that I'm Canadian. So
Not perfect. There you go.
actually, I'm in Ottawa too, so he's only a million miles away on the other side. All right, one more question, because I know. Thanks again for the time, and we want to use it well. But obviously, we saw that AI scandal at Sports Illustrated, and they pretty much killed the brand. You wrote a really good piece for the Puck Soup Patreon, which is highly recommended, of course. And I thought it was really good. But I guess my question for you is where do you see the future of sports coverage going in the next 5 to 10 years? And do you think the human touch is always going to be necessary, or do you think people are going to kind of fall away?
The human touch will always be necessary because AI can't sit down with an athlete and interview them. And AI can't ask the questions that get the quotes after a game for that story. It could do a lot of things, and it's going to make it, as scary as it is for the reduction of jobs in the industry, it certainly is going to make the industry more efficient in the sense of like, there are going to be stories that I'll no longer have to write because AI will have written it within 5 seconds of the game ending. And so there's something to be said for that innovation. There's something to be said for AI's ability to maybe, if we can trust it enough, put together a huge swath of stories that require research and data input and things like that to make writers' lives easier so they can focus on the big things. I'm a lot more bullish on it than a lot of people are as far as its utility within journalism. That being said, it's also going to lead to some real specious things happening in journalism. You can't trust it. It's just like when you deal with analytics. If it's bad data in, it's bad information out. And I think the same thing goes for AI. And there's going to be some really, bad actors that we've already seen in journalism using AI for nefarious purposes to confuse people, to clone voices in interviews, to do things that are going to be kind of like sketchy. It reminds me of the early days of Twitter when we couldn't trust tweets. Yeah. Well, now we can't trust like what our eyes and see and our ears hear because of how quickly and easily it could be manipulated. The SI thing was a good example, though, of like, and some of the other things we've seen, like the Columbus Dispatch doing AI game stories, are a really good example of how the human touch is still going to matter. Like, you can ape sports writing, you can ape the style of sports writing, you can do things that are very close to the form and the feeling of what a writer does, but it can't ape the argument within those stories, and it certainly can't ape the satisfaction that an audience has in interacting with the author of those pieces. That's a real part of this that not a lot of people talk about, is that like the reason that sports writing resonates is because somebody writes something that you fucking hate, and then you go at them and they come back at you, whether it's on a social media or a podcast or a radio show or whatever. And, due respect to AI, but I've argued with chatbots before. They suck. So the human element is always going to play a part in sports media, in my opinion, because of the journalism part of it that AI can't replicate, insofar as like searching out interviews and getting answers and things of that nature, and then also the human aspect of it of this person had an opinion, I don't like their opinion, and now I'm going to be mad at them for having that opinion. You can't do that with AI.
Yeah, I think we could replace what the players say to the reporters, but I don't think we could necessarily replace the way the reporters write it down.
Or ask the question too. I mean, like, that's part of it, is that, until they figure out a way to create, Vision from the MCU to go and and ask these questions after a game, or to sit down and interview a player, or to do any of that shit. Like it's still going to be a human element that's necessary to create content. Now, again, like the question is that monetizable? Do people even care about it? Do they just want to get their information straight away? That's kind of what the audience is going to decide. But I don't know. I've an unwavering faith that the industry, like I said in that piece, kind of changes and morphs and changes and becomes something different depending on what the audience and the ad dollars say it should be. And I don't think I think it contracts, but I don't think it ever goes away. If that is probably the sunniest forecast I could give.
Well, that's fair, and it's a really fascinating take. Yeah, that's it. That's all we have for you, Greg. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, yeah, no, it was awesome to do this. I'm glad we could put it together, and I'll definitely come back on so we can talk more at length. I was saying to you guys before we did the show that I took paternity leave after our daughter Iris was born, and my overlords at ESPN want to have a catch up on, I guess, whatever. And it came, unfortunately, it came at the tail end of our recording, so I have to hop off and go on a Zoom, as it were. But I appreciate your flexibility and a continued success in doing, like you said, a different kind of show.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to tell people where they can find you in case they didn't already know?
Yeah, ESPN.com is where my writing is. You can also find it on the Puck Soup Patreon, where I do 2 essays a month. And then podcasts, I do The Drop every Tuesday and Friday with Ardo Ocal for ESPN on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. And then, of course, do a slew of non-hockey bonus, well, hockey adjacent sometimes, bonus stuff on the Puck Soup Patreon.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us, Greg. Have a great day.
Awesome. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was our interview with Greg Wyshynski from January. We were all very excited to talk with him. Most of us have been following Greg's work for a long time, and it was great to get to talk to him about his work and how it's changed over the course of his career so far. And now, finally, it's time to dip back into the Neutral Zone Hotel blooper reel. You're probably going to hear a lot of the swear/Oilers jar in this segment, so be warned.
So, hold on. Black Government Kings. John can cut this out later and make me seem really cool.
Or he can leave it in and make you seem human, you know?
Yeah. So, basically...
really, I'm saving these all up for the bloopers episode.
John, are you still here? Because you've been frozen for a while.
Oh.
Yeah, just look at your frowny face.
I'm still here. I think if you don't move a lot, then Skype just like stops updating your video.
And we didn't see the last player without a helmet until Glenn Anderson retired in like the late 90s.
Craig McTavish.
So, sorry. Why did I say Craig Anderson? I'm going to say that again. They're both Craigs. They're fucking same player. Here's one. Yeah, with helmets especially, we didn't see players stop wearing... No, that's not right either. I really find it interesting compared to the evolution of how players wear hot. This is throwing me right off. Holy shit.
Craig McTavish has that effect on people.
This is what the entire Edmonton Oilers franchise felt like for 10 years.
That's one for the Oilers jar.
There we go.
Oh, that wasn't good. I got to do that again. Sorry.
Well, to be fair, if this is all getting cut out, do you really need the Oilers jar right now?
Yes. The Oilers jar is... It continues. All right. Where was I?
God, why are you the best at intros and outros? Fuck.
I love hearing myself talk.
Well, to be fair, I mean, like last time, Trevor and I were dancing to the end credits music while Benjamin was trying to read the outro. He was just like, what are you idiots doing?
Because you know how like we have the little guitar riff that plays during the outro? I was like miming along with it, and then John pulls out his actual guitar, and halfway through Benjamin just stops like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And I was just like, oh right, Benjamin doesn't listen to the podcast. He doesn't know that that's a thing.
He doesn't?
He doesn't like hearing the sound of his own voice.
Finland's the only country in the world other than Canada where hockey is the top sport.
Well, this one's Sweden.
Oh. Sweden's really close.
Yeah.
Which town was that? I checked out. I'm sorry.
Leksands.
That's here. I got confused between Finland and Sweden, and I'm going to have to cut
Leksands.
that so I don't get stabbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I switched from Liga to SHL. You guys were just not paying attention.
That's right. Somebody posted an insane fucking Oilers theoretical trade, and I looked at it in my mind. I'm going to read this. You're going to have to cut all this out, but three-way trade between the Canucks, the Devils, and the Oilers to New Jersey. McDavid, Broberg, McLeod, 2025 third-round pick. To Edmonton, Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, 2025 second-round pick. To Vancouver, Draisaitl, Bouchard, second-round pick. And then to Edmonton, Quinn Hughes and Nikita Zadorov. And all I could think of is, what the fuck is wrong with people? This is pure hockey HF boards madness.
It's silly, and people are just having fun. Let people have fun.
I feel like this is ultimately hilarious, though, because shout-outs to our post Canucks Oilers game recording where we asked Jess if they would like Quinn Hughes on the Oilers.
There you go.
But they've also only played 22 games, so they're actually fake 500.
Except they're legit 500. They haven't lost any games in overtime.
Well, they lost. They have an overtime loss.
No, they don't. They are 11-11-0.
Don't they? Are they?
Yeah.
Shit.
No, you're all good.
There you go. I know. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, so they're an actual
Now I gotta
legit
scroll
500.
away the hell. Oh yeah, you're right. They are 500.
Yeah,
All right, I'll
even
have to edit
based
this
off
out.
of winning, like the actual defining factor of winning percentage, they're 500.
It's the Oilers that are fake 500.
Yeah.
Listen.
They're 12-12-1. I got confused, and I made poor notes. This will teach me to do my homework during meetings.
I misheard that for a quick sec. Woo!
So did I.
God, I don't know what I said. Luckily, I'm the one who edits this. If I said anything really horrible, I can just cut it out. Wouldn't be the first time.
Don't pull behind the curtain
No.
too much. They're gonna know.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh God, they're doing the wave.
Oh no, not the wave.
The wave is awesome, and I will defend it. Don't
No,
you
because
dare.
People stand
No
up
slander.
and then you cannot see the rink.
I mean, that sounds like a you problem because you're 5'0". I have no problem with that whatsoever.
It's not a baseball game. The wave is for
Screw you,
baseball
buddy.
games. There's
Oh,
lots of stoppages in
gosh.
baseball.
You know what we never did at the Winter Classic yesterday? The wave. Because we are real hockey fans in Seattle.
You are
Wow.
a aquatic-based hockey team, and you didn't do the wave?
That's correct. Because we know how to behave.
Cowards.
Waves do not happen at the bottom of the sea where Kraken live.
I thought
They
you were
happen at the surface.
I thought you were
That's
about to say the bottom of the seventh because it happened at a baseball stadium. Speaking of which, I guess we can get into the reason why SJ couldn't watch the PWHL game live because they were at the Winter Classic.
Well, I think
Hold
we have
on.
to
You're
go to break.
getting ahead, Trevor. You're getting ahead.
Yeah, we need to talk about what the Central Division teams are doing for the new year.
Right.
That's right.
God,
So.
this has gone so far off the rails.
No, it hasn't. I don't know.
Why,
what's
yes, it
going.
has.
Episode 18.
Damn.
Can you believe it?
Our podcast is
I
enough.
can.
If our podcast
Yeah, I can drink, Trevor. We know the joke you're going for.
No.
I was going to say vote.
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
say
okay.
legal adult, but okay.
So we all basically had the same thing.
Yeah. No.
We're like,
again,
yeah,
well, I thought
making
the
a
British
standard
Columbia.
joke.
We can't drink till we're 19 here. Come on.
You obviously didn't have a fake ID.
No, of course not. I don't drink.
Like,
I don't know what laws in Canada are like that you can drink when you're 18 weeks old.
That's strong.
Fucking got our ass down.
Yeah, damn, Alex.
All right.
Must be Alberta.
Foligno and Hartman, they don't really have the flexibility to try and retool the roster as much as they might like.
You're the one who has to edit that out if we laugh, John. Don't forget that.
Oh, I'm fully aware. I am fully aware.
John was making silly faces at the camera.
I can't help it. Somebody said Zuccarello. I just thought the lizard man.
Yeah. It's
And these are opportunities that I fully expect the NHL to fucking squander.
Nothing
I
else.
feel like there's a podcast that talks about how many rakes the NHL likes to step on, but I can't remember what it's called.
It's called the Neutral Zone Hotel, John.
Oh, right.
Is that what it was? I thought it was like the friggin' like Red Zone Inn or something like that. Damn.
Red Zone Inn sounds like... you know what? I'm not going to make jokes.
You don't want to finish that thought.
I don't want to finish that thought. Sounds like they're going to forcibly make me watch football. And that's just the worst fucking thing in the world.
Don't worry, football season's almost over. It can't hurt you any more than a couple weeks.
I went out to we went out to the dinosaur the other night to get dinner, and the hostess was wearing a Mahomes jersey, which I thought, she's got some balls to be wearing a Patrick Mahomes jersey in Buffalo. Like, respect.
You wanted to dinosaur barbecue?
Yeah.
So good. All right.
The nice thing about the one here is there's like not a 3-hour queue. The bad side is that there's nowhere to park in that neighborhood.
The one in Syracuse, man, it's always fucking packed.
The last 6 years I lived there before I moved here, we couldn't get in. We used to go for lunch because that's the only time you could get in other than like 7:00 on Sunday.
I took a lady friend down and I was like, this is the best place ever. And we waited for an hour and 20 minutes to get in to get like a little table in the fucking corner. But the food was good.
Well, if you can find a place to park in that neighborhood, it's real easy to get a table at the one here.
Good to know. Maybe next time I'm through. Alrighty. Yeah, that's definitely gonna end up in a in a clip show episode.
Let's go. Well, to be fair, it's perfect like break point as well because you insert interview here.
We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Button and button.
Let me just quickly bring the production down.
Why didn't the button
up again?
Button. And button. And stay.
I watched that again the other day.
Yeah?
That was good.
No idea what the fuck. Oh, you guys are
It was
talking about Taskmaster, aren't you?
No, we're talking about go ahead.
Yeah, at GDQ this year, they had a dog do a speed run.
Right. It was so good.
It was a Shiba Inu named Peanut Butter. Peanut Butter button. They would press the button, and you get fed like a sausage or something like that. Peanut Butter was getting paid. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And he was cute.
Can I just ask one question right now?
Yeah.
Benjamin, are you currently recording?
Am I recording what?
Just right now? Like, have you hit record on Audacity already?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
The first thing John's going to hear when he starts. Yeah.
Hell yeah. We'd love to see it.
Let's clap.
All right.
Clap, 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 clap.
But more specifically, again, to kind of more so, aside from the fan thing, but what I kind of... Sorry, I was watching Benjamin just slowly back away in the corner there.
You should just do that whole sentence over again.
No. We're keeping this in.
I'm doing the outro now?
Yep.
Okay.
Once John gets a handle on things. Oh, that's real good. Damn.
We're not clapping yet, though, right?
No.
We gotta do the outro.
Oh, John was just being zen? Okay.
Cracking packs was fun. What can I say?
Alrighty. Well, I think that just about does it for us today. So I would like to thank you for joining us. And now I'm going to do the outro because I fucked it up.
That's all for this week. We'll have a fresh summer episode for you next time. It's already recorded, so it's probably safe to tell you that Trevor led the crew in a round of Jeopardy! And we should have that for you in about 2 weeks. You've been listening to Neutral Zone Hotel. Neutral Zone Hotel is written, hosted, and produced by the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. Find out more at neutralzonehotel.com. Emily Mowbray designed our fabulous logo. You can follow us on Instagram or Blue Sky at Neutral Zone Hotel, all one word. You can join our Discord at www.neutralzonehotel.com/Discord if you want to hang out with us. If you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. That should do, I hope. Now I'm going to go cut this episode back together. I'm going to hate all of it and want to do it again, but I won't have a microphone because I will be in a hotel room somewhere in the Midwest. Does anybody have any more cursing they want to do? Because I have this many left.
Holy fuck.
Shit.
Fucker. Cocksucker.
God damn it.
Son of a bitch. Dirty whore.
We'll drop a in there, why not?
Whoa. I wasn't going to go that far. You're not Australian. You can't get away with that.
A bugger off there, right?